You just had to sit there, didn't you? Okay, everybody. Welcome back to the Juicy Bro Show. All of the animals are in the room with me today. So forgive me again if there's some random edits and everything. I'm trying to make it work. You get to see a little bit of Leonardo up here. So he's going to be kind of hanging out with us a little bit today. Well, let's get to it, you guys. I've been promising you guys some Godfather videos, some Godfather stuff, some Godfather content. All right. So we're planning on next week doing the podcast with all the guys. We're going to be doing the Godfather movie and book. So I'm trying to squeeze in all of the Godfather spin-off stuff before we do that. Last time I did the Sicilian by Mario Puzo, and this time we're going to be doing the Family Corleone by Ed Falco, based on a screenplay idea by Mario Puzo. Now, Mario Puzo, of course, rest in peace, but what he'd done contractually, he was obligated to only work on these characters as movie ideas, as screenplays. He could be associated with something involving making a prequel, sequel, television show, whatever the case might have been. He could only, by contract, do anything involved with these characters if it was going to go on the screen. That's just the deal they worked out in order so he can get paid. I don't blame the guy for doing that, right? But what sucks is it kind of put him in a corner where he couldn't take the characters that he created and make their own story about it. So he couldn't do another novel with Michael Corleone or Tom Hagen or whomever. So his idea for this is basically it was supposed to be a prequel story to the original Godfather story, and it's basically an origin story of both Luca Brasi and Santino Corleone. So Santino and Tom, I think, are about college age, and Connie, Fredo, and Michael are all, a little bit younger. So that's kind of a fun dynamic to see. And it's got some interesting twists and turns here. There's definitely some mob warfare stuff, some cool stuff. This is all par for the course with the Godfather thing. The big theme is, of course, family. Life as an immigrant, as an American. That's a huge part of this. And it's really exploring from that one perspective, or the couple of perspectives of Sonny mainly, but then the Luca Brasi stuff is pretty interesting too. I came into this story knowing, because there's a little bit of a flashback or a little bit of a story that they tell about Luca Brasi in the Godfather novel, that this is fleshed out in here. And Luca Brasi is a fucking animal. Overall, this was a pretty fun book. I want to say about 3.5 out of 5. I liked it. It was fun. But I can see this not really working for a lot of people just because it's lacking in some areas that you might think you'd want to see, right? You want to see a lot more Vito. You want to see Michael. You want to see all these characters, and it doesn't really focus on anybody necessarily that you would want it to. I would have wanted to see, some Tessio, some more Tessio stuff, some more Clemenza stuff, and that's kind of not in here that much, which is a bit of a bummer. Just to get into maybe some spoiler talk, because this might turn you off or you might really enjoy it. But so Luca Brasi. Luca Brasi is a fun side-off character in the movie. The actor that plays him is really great. He's kind of this bumbling brute. He's in the very beginning of the movie, where he's like sitting there and he's stumbling over these words that he's trying to say to the Don to thank him for the invitation to the wedding. And Kay calls him out. She's like, "Hey, who's this guy?" Michael tells the story, mentions that there's an even greater, scarier story. This is in the novel, and he can't tell that. And then later on, it's paid off by that story being told, which is again in here. But Luca, you don't really get to see it until later in the book, where you find out, holy crap, this guy's bad. This guy's bad news. So in the Sicilian digression, what happens is, in the Godfather novel, Michael meets this character called Filomena. And Filomena was a midwife. She was helping women give birth, right? So she talks to Michael, and she's like, "Is it true what they say that Luca Brasi's dead?" She does the sign of the cross. He admits, yes, he's no longer with us or whatever, and she's like happy about it. Now, this makes you feel a certain way because you're rooting for the Corleone family to win. They're the protagonists of the story. They're the good guys, right? I mean, they're obviously a criminal organization, but the way the story is told, they are the ones we're rooting on, right? So Luca Brasi is one of them, and she tells this story about how he gets this Irish lady pregnant, and he gets Philomena to help her, have the baby, and then at the end, Luca Brasi doesn't want to have anything to do with it, and he forces Philomena to throw the baby in a furnace. That's Luca Brasi. Now that story again is in the digression in the novel, but it's really fleshed out here, and that was rough. And there's a couple of things happen after that make Luca Brasi's character in the movie and in the novel of The Godfather. It's weird. I don't know how I feel about it because it's trying to explain why he's kind of bumbling and why he seems kind of stupid and why he trips over his words. I was kind of, in my personal opinion, I was kind of okay with that not needing explaining. He could have just been this brute, this animal. He could have just been that. That was fine. There was nothing wrong with this character just being that. Fleshing him out, even though, if you're in love with this world and you want to find out what's going on with them, this really kind of scratches that itch. It does kind of take away from it a little bit, and I'm torn between it because some of it is kind of like, oh, okay, well that makes sense why he behaves this way. So in the story, he attempts to take his own life, and that is sort of the explanation for why he's this like simple-minded brute. That's the explanation, is that the attempt messed him up pretty bad, and Vito was able to kind of convince him because he was a lone ranger kind of crook. And then after this stuff happens, Vito's like, you can work for me. And that was kind of cool. But again, I don't know, man. It's something about these characters where in a lot of stories that I'm finding out when they try to expand on them too much, is there's something lost there where a bit of mystery was okay. Hearing the story from Philomena in the Godfather story and her telling Michael, like, he made me do that. And you go, whoa. And then, that's enough. That's good. Because there's a part where Tom says, you won't be old enough to hear the story about Luca Brasi. Nobody wants to talk about the story. And he tells him, you won't be old enough to hear the story until you're 100 years old. And then he finds out through this woman in Sicily that's how awful Luca is. Some of the brutish acts he does in this story that isn't that. The other stuff. There's a part where he's torturing some guys. He's cut off the limbs of some guys, and there's a guy that's tied up, and he's got a like a rag shoved in his mouth to keep him quiet. And it's so brutal that he like swallows the rag and it chokes him to death. And just watching it, just knowing that is going to happen to him, it's just crazy. The violence in here is pretty crazy. I did like the Sonny stuff. I don't think he got a fair shot in the Godfather movie. I think they sort of played up and he does have a problem with his anger and stuff, but I feel like they played on it a little bit much in the movie versus the book, where he does seem a little bit more likable in the book. He does seem to have a bit of more charisma in the book, and you sort of see the situation he's in a little bit more, where it's like, damn, he's really trying to just hold everything together, and it's not easy. And he doesn't do that bad of a job, in my opinion. I think a couple of bad decisions were made in that story, but in this one, man, I kind of liked him sort of being the protagonist of this and sort of learning a little bit how to like control because he's kind of a brat. He's kind of he's gotten whatever he wanted. He grew up kind of privileged, and no matter what he does, getting into trouble wise, he's gonna be able to get out of it. His dad's gonna get him out of jail or whatever. So he's kind of got this attitude of being able to do whatever he wants. And then through the story, they trim that down and they go, hey, control yourself. He basically tells his dad, I know what you do. I want to work with you. There's no other shot for me. I think his Vito set him up to work with cars, and he wants him to be in car manufacturing, which would have been a big deal back then. It's like, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm well aware of what's going on around me, and I know what you're about, and I've seen it, I've witnessed it, which is incredible. One of the other things I really enjoyed about this book was Tom Hagen. I think Tom Hagen is one of my favorite characters in the Godfather stories. I think I have an affinity for Robert Duvall as an actor, so pretty much anybody he's going to be playing is going to get me like, hell yeah, I like that character, right? So Tom Hagen is a little bit in here, and there's a weird thing with Tom Hagen, and I don't know why they decided to do this, but Tom Hagen is hooking up with this chick who is Luca Brasi's girlfriend. And that's really random. I'm like, what the hell's going on with that? Why is that happening in there? And that becomes a plot point. That becomes a thing where Vito, he's kind of like, hey, I'm going to need your forgiveness about this because I can't have the idea of Luca Brasi coming after Tom. Because of this thing, and then he didn't know what was going on, and he kind of found out, oh, that's what I did. That's Luca Brasi's girl. Holy shit! And then so that happens, and then like Tom's in college, right? So the beginning is like Sonny telling him like, hey, you're fucking around with Luca's girl, and then Tom Hagen's gone. He's like barely in the story after that, and I was like, that's fucking lame. Sure, he's a college boy. Sure, he's not a lawyer yet. He's not the consigliere. God damn it. I just wanted more Tom Hagen. Assuming, right? It's got some stuff I didn't really care for. Again, Tom Hagen not really being in there. Vito not really having a huge part. That stuff kind of sucks, but the Sonny stuff is really fun. The Luca Brasi stuff, even though it is ugly, it is... You're going, oh, crap, man. And then the Olive Oil War, Jenko. Oh, Jenko's in there. Jenko is the consigliere before Tom Hagen. And he doesn't really get a role in the movie, so people don't know about this character. But Jenko was the original consigliere, and he's a little bit more in this. And you kind of see like, oh, well, that's kind of the type of character that Vito would have as his like number 2. So I thought that was kind of cool. So shout out to Jenko. And the olive oil company that they use to launder money is Jenko Olive Oil, and that's the consigliere. So that's really cool. I thought that was fun. But yeah, man, overall it's pretty cool. I may revisit it in the future now that I've seen the entire story unfold. And then if I go back and read it again, I think I'll see all the little plot points that it's setting up, and the foreshadowing and all that will really pay off in a big way. Because I was kind of just trying to get it done fast so I can get to the next one, because there was another spin-off Godfather book. And if I can knock it out before we do the Godfather podcast, I'll be really happy with myself. But anyways, guys, it was pretty fun. If you're really in love with the Godfather universe, the movies, and you just kind of like that stuff, this is one to spend some time on. It's not going to change the world. It's not going to make you think in a different way. It's not going to blow you away, certainly. No offense, Ed Falco. It's just, it didn't really hit that mark, but it was fun, and that's fine. Well, anyway, that's it, guys. I think I'm going to get out of here. Thanks for stopping by. I'm going to be back at you with the next one. Hopefully, if I can knock the next spin-off book before we do the actual podcast. We'll get another video in before then. But probably what's going to happen is your next video will be the Godfather podcast. So, but that's going to be a hell of an undertaking, and it's going to be great. We're going to have so much fun doing that. So y'all stay tuned. Thanks for taking your time with me right now, and we'll see you on the next one, guys.